I ate 570 grams of carbs a day and was the most shredded I've ever been. I eat a ton of carbs all year round and stay shredded, sub 8% body fat no matter what. Rice, potatoes, oats, fruit, beans, you name it. Carbs never made me fat, and they are not what's keeping you soft. Here's what most men get wrong. They rank carbs by fear instead of by the one thing that actually matters: how full a carb keeps you per calorie. The carb you're most scared of, the potato, is literally the most filling food ever measured in a lab. You cut the rice, you cut the potatoes, you white knuckle it, and 3 weeks later, you're starving and back in the pantry. And that's not a willpower problem. That's the wrong carb problem. By the end of this video, you'll have every carb I eat ranked best to worst with the real numbers on screen, and you'll have the 3-filter system to judge any carb in 2 seconds so you can eat more food, stay more full, and actually hold the deficit instead of breaking it. My name is Nolan Nolm. I'm a pro football player for the Toronto Argonauts and was a D1 wide receiver at Eastern Washington University, where I was a 2-time team captain. I'm the founder of Make It Happen Coaching, where we've coached over 100 men through this exact system. And like I said, I personally eat a plentiful amount of carbs every single day, and not by fearing carbs, by ranking them and understanding them. So here's the plan. We're going to dive into these 3 pillars. And then, like I said, we're literally going to go down the list. On the left, you can see all these carbs here. I'm going to give you the top tier, the middle tier, and the bottom tier. I'm going to show you how I did this. By the end of this video, you're going to understand carbs better than 95% of doctors and 99% of the fitness coaches, influencers out there. You'll never feel guilty about a plate of potatoes ever again. So let's get into this, guys. Let me name one of the falsest beliefs first, and this is the thing that's keeping you stuck. You think the goal is to eat fewer carbs. So you rank them by how, maybe dangerous they feel. Rice, bad. Bread, bad. Potato, bad. And then you try to, white knuckle your way to less. But the reason that it fails you is it's not about eating less food. It's about holding the deficit long enough to matter. It's also about priming your metabolism before you get there. Now, this video is not going to be focused on metabolic priming. It's going to be purely on these carbs, but we're going to get into it, guys. Like I said, you've got the 3-tier system here that we're going to get into and dive fully into it. I'll explain it to you guys step by step. The real question isn't which carb has the fewest grams. It's which carb keeps me the most full for the fewest amount of calories. So if we rank them in that way, and then also, what carb am I using in terms of for the given situation? There's going to be times where you're going to want a carb that's going to turn into sugar really quickly. That's going to digest really fast, a simple carb. Then there's going to be times where you want a complex carb. It's going to take longer for you to break down, like a steel cutout or something like that. So anyways, a great fat loss carb wins 3 things at once. Let's get into these 3 right here. As you guys can see, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of context. This is when I was training for my pro day. So I actually started at 199. But I just wanted to show you guys, I was eating, 200 carbs, 240 carbs, 200, and then 150 on some of my rest days, which was very low for how much training we were doing. And you can see at the end here, I'm 4 or 5 pounds lighter, and I actually started at 199, so 8 pounds lighter, and I'm eating 300 grams more of carbs, so 570 carbs. This is not the issue. So this is what makes a great fat loss carb. Number 1, the fiber, okay? This allows for a calorie discount. This is so huge. And you guys have probably heard of this before, but I'm gonna go into each one of them. Think of fiber as a filler that your body can't fully cash in, right? It carries fewer usable calories than regular carbs. So it costs energy to break it down. And it physically drags a little fat and protein out with it before you absorb them. So on top of that, it slows everything else down. So it'll keep you fuller for hours because your body's digesting it longer. So a high carb or a high fiber carb literally gives you fewer net calories and less hunger from the same plate, same amount of food. And remember, all this stuff is backed by science and studies. This is what we do. They did a 2019 review, and they found that the people eating the most fiber weighed less. That was full stop. They pulled 185 studies and 58 trials. And then another meta-analysis in 2022. They had 27 different trials. Over 1,400 people participated in this. And they found that simply by adding fiber, this dropped body weight by more than a kilogram. That's like 2.2 pounds with nothing else change. So fiber is filter number one for a reason. Now, are there going to be times where we don't want fiber? Absolutely. If you're about to go do an intense workout or training session, do we want digestion to slow? No, we want quick digesting carbs that are going to turn into glucose, that are going to give us a pump, that are going to give us the energy that our muscles, that our body needs to perform at a high level. So it does require context, but we're more, obviously you're going to be trained for the most part, you guys, once a day. So for the most part, we're focusing on the other one, okay? The second filter is how much food you get per calorie. So scientists call it energy density. We're just going to call it volume. Picture 200 calories two ways, as a broccoli and a potato. So it's a plate so big that you can barely finish it for 200 calories, right? Like if we were just doing broccoli or just doing potatoes. But if it was candy, it's literally a couple bites. And you guys have seen the videos online. I post some of them on Instagram. When you see that volume difference, it's pretty, it's very telling. So it's the same calories, but a very different amount of food. The high volume option is going to fill your stomach up and take longer to chew, and it shuts that hunger off. And that's not magic. It's just really hard to overeat those, right? If I told you to eat, a pound of broccoli or a pound of candy, it's very clear what's going to be easier to eat. So the people who lowered the energy density of their food, they found in a year-long trial in 2007. So mostly these people, by adding vegetables and fruit, they lost more weight than people who were just told to eat less fat. More food, less weight. So that's filter number 2, okay? The third one is satiety, okay? This one ties the two together. How full does it actually keep you calorie for calorie? So there's literally a scoreboard for this. Back in 1995, we go way back, they fed people equal calorie portions of 38 foods and measured how full each one of them made. The most filling food they ever tasted, I dropped this hint in the intro to the video, the boiled potato. Over 7 times more filling than a croissant with the same calories. So the carb that maybe you were taught to fear is the most filling food on record. So one more piece of satiety that you have to know is that solid beats liquid. Now, this is pretty obvious, but there's another study that they ran where people ate the same sugar calories as soda or as jelly beans, the solid candy. You guys have probably seen them. And they naturally ate less. Okay, the liquid soda, they didn't compensate for it all. It just stacked on top. Your body barely registers these liquid calories as food. And this is why juice, soda, it's going to be dead last. You're going to see when we go over these today. Okay, so these are the 3 filters. You guys can use these for anything that you run into. Fiber density, volume per calorie, and satiety. All right, let's get into the actual carb sources and our different tiers that we have. So really, you can see we got 3 different colors, but really broke it up into 5 different levels, okay? The first one is our elite level. As we look here, we got 4 in this one. You got spinach, which is incredible. 2.2 grams of fiber for 23 calories. Broccoli right there, 2.6 for 35 calories. The only thing to be aware of with broccoli is it's quite a bit of protein, actually, when you start to really have huge volumes of it. But another phenomenal one, cauliflower and raspberries, incredible. These are the eat freely elite. These are nearly free calories with huge volume. I mean, other ones you could add in here that if you're purely looking to just fill your stomach would be, cucumber, would be sauerkraut. But these are elite, guys. Broccoli is going to give you a giant plate for basically nothing. And berries are one of the highest fiber fruits that you can buy. Okay? We're going to get into tier number 2 now. And this is where the majority of your carbs really should come from. Sweet potatoes, once again, are going to be another one that's going to be one of your best friends. Potatoes, we talked about this. Filling, incredible, really good. This is where most of your carbs should live, like I said. Oats, dry oats, lentils, very protein heavy again, black beans, quinoa, an apple, an orange, really, really good. Remember, these are all very high fiber. They're going to take longer to digest, so we don't necessarily want them right before workout, or intra workout. but they're very, very powerful and something that you want to, anchor at the beginning of your day. I have steel cut oats every single morning without fail. And oats also bring a special fiber called beta glucan that keeps you full for hours. So, and like I said, lentils, beans, really good with protein as well. Okay. Third tier here, third level is good carbs. Okay. So these are solid choices, just a little lower in fiber or volume. So brown rice, whole grain, bread, solid. Really, you could put, sourdough in there as well. Whole wheat pasta, corn, bananas are perfect around training. Like bananas are incredible. I can have one right before I go out to work out. I'm gonna feel fine. That's something that you guys can work in as well. These are just slightly easier to overeat than this other tier, right? We're talking really purely for fat loss here. Okay. Tier number 4, fine in moderation. Okay. Now, once again, white rice. Oh my goodness, cream of rice. It's one of the best fuels that you're going to have before a workout. Very, very clean. Would highly recommend it for a workout. But are we going to just like go crazy with this? No, not ideally. If you want to be on the elite track, right? Hear me out on these. Like they're not bad. White rice is not evil at all. In fact, it's incredible in the right situation. They're just lower in fiber and fullness. So for the purpose of this video and for ranking these, they're easier to overeat. So we have to use them with purpose. Or if you're struggling to eat enough, boom, these are going to help. Okay. Tier 5. These are just, we're never going to go here. And that's the truth. Worse for fat loss. Fruit, juice, soda, candy, pastries. We covered all of these in the tier list, why they're so important to not have, especially the liquid sugar. And then sugar fat combos, right? Like near zero fullness per calorie. If we look at this, I mean, 400 calories for 1.5 grams. And then we're talking about 0.2. Candy, that's as bad as it gets, right? Once again, though, life is about balance. And so I really believe in having at least 2 free meals a week, at least. And eventually getting to the point where you're 80-20. Now, you're not going to want to have this because it's going to make you feel like crap. But also, I think there is a time and place for you to gorge a little bit, make yourself feel like crap, and not want to go back to it. Because if you just white knuckle for years, for months, you're going to have a really big crash, and we don't want to see you fall off for months at a time. At the end of the day, the biggest thing that matters is adherence. So notice what I did not say. I never said any of these are fattening. Sugar won't stop fat loss if your calories are controlled. So tier 5 ranks last because it makes the deficit harder to hold. If you only ate candy, but you stayed in a deficit, you're still going to lose weight. And this is what I tell everybody. You can eat whatever you want. It's going to be really hard, though. You're going to feel like crap, and you're going to lose muscle and all these, but if you ate your protein and then you just had these as your carbs, and that'd be great. You just would have terrible sleep. You'd have, you'd feel like crap because your micronutrients wouldn't be there. Once again, these are not poison. I want to make that clear. This is the honest version of it, because a lot of people, the influencers sell you BS. They're not poison. They're just not ideal. They're not going to, help you really succeed at the highest level. So, really quickly here, guys, I want to cover and make tier 1 and 2 concrete. Like the potato is the hero. It's mostly water and fiber, almost no fat, and it's the most filling food ever. Okay. So a big plate of potatoes is going to cost you fewer calories than you'd guess, and it's going to leave you done eating. Oats are the same thing with that special fiber that we talked about. And then that's why you eat a bowl of oats and you feel really full, right? It turns into gel in your gut, and then it slows everything else down. So that's another really good one. Like I said, the berries give you the most fiber of any fruit with barely any sugar load. And then beans or lentils, like just a cheat code for carb, fiber, protein. You're going to feel incredible. Okay. This is the heart of metabolic priming inside our method, the Bulletproof Shred. You don't starve to get lean. You eat the foods that make staying lean feel easy. So I'm going to be honest with you about what's settled and what isn't. The exact size of fibers, calorie discount that I mentioned varies person to person and food to food. So anywhere from small to really meaningful. So what's not in the question is the direction. So more fiber, more volume, more fullness equals an easier deficit. Every line of evidence points this way. Let's just get into some myths here and crush these, just like we did with the protein in the past video. So myth number one, carbs make you fat. No, a calorie surplus makes you fat. Carb source changes how full and how consistent you stay, not whether carbs are magically, fattening. Carbs are incredible, guys. And when we talk about replacing glycogen, fueling workouts, like I mentioned, it is the number one thing. The carbs are going to be the thing that allow us to use your metabolism like a gas pedal. We're going to get it going because 70% of how you burn your fat and lose weight is through your metabolism. We're going to use carbs to raise your calories up, to raise your maintenance, so that when we go into a deficit, it's not as far. Myth number two, potatoes are bad for fat loss. Backwards, okay? Like I said, potato is the number one for fullness, and it's incredible. It's an elite fat loss carb. Just don't drown it in butter like it's one of your meals over at your grandma's place, okay? Myth number three, white rice is bad. Once again, like I mentioned, none of those are bad. It's just lower in fiber and fullness, so you need to be aware of that. It might tempt you to make a decision that's not going to be in alignment with your goals. They're perfectly fine around training, or for someone who struggles to eat enough, especially if you're looking to muscle gain. Most of what we talk about is fat loss, but some people are trying to gain muscle first before they get into the fat loss phase. And eventually, all of us will be in a muscle gain phase once we get to a certain point, create a deficit, create a new baseline where we're lean all year round, okay? Myth number four, you have to cut carbs to lose fat. No, you have to hold a deficit. Like I said, I ate 570 grams of carbs, but you can see my metabolism was on another level, so we stayed at the same weight with extra carbs. The right carbs, like I said, make the deficit easier to hold, not harder, and that's exactly what I did. I told you, plates of broccoli. Myth number five, okay, fruit has too much sugar. Whole fruit comes wrapped in fiber and water, guys. That's like people don't understand. That's number one, and number three of the pillars of a carb that we talked about that are working for you. The juice is the problem, not the fruit. So eat the orange, skip the juice, and just remember, liquid sugar does not fill you up at all. When we look at this, right? Look at this. Burn this, tattoo this on your brain. I say it to you guys all the time. Tattoo this on your brain. Sugar juices, don't give them to your kids. No, none of that. Make them eat the fruit. Stay away from that. Okay, so 3 things that we can do today. Okay, we're going to build from tier 1 and 2. Eat those. Eat till you're full. Use those when you're in your next cut. Time your fast carbs. Like I said, your white rice, your bagels, your pasta, all those are incredible. Your bananas, it's going to be a little bit of a faster fruit. That's going to be great, and put it around your training. Put it, in your training. There was times where I was eating carbs like that in training. I mean, maple syrup, honey, like that's where we want that. It's very valuable. Cut the liquid carbs first, okay? No soda, no juice, no sweet drinks. A lot of you guys are already there, but just for the rest of your life, now you understand the costs. This is not something that you play around with, okay? So here's what I want you to do. If one of these carbs or more surprise you, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you guys want to see next in the future videos. And I appreciate all the love on the past videos. It seems like you guys are really loving this style of content, so we're going to keep pumping it out for you. We're going to give you world-class information. I want to see you get shredded and in the best shape of your life. And if you are a 6-figure earner, if you are a high performer who's not where he wants to be, who wants to get right where some of the people that we've worked with, like Dr. Ryan Zumwalt, he's a founder of a PT clinic, father of 2, got in the best shape of his life, and not only that, held a standard that was higher than he had before. He didn't want to take his shirt off around the pool. He was pissed off looking in the mirror, taking that first photo. But he wanted to step up as a leader in the one area of his life that he didn't have the level of success that matched everything else in his life. And we have a community full of those high performers, full of those people, and we're looking to add to it. You've got to be the right fit. This is not for people who want just a magic trick, the magic pill. No, this is for somebody who wants to step up, who wants a system like you can see here that's personalized to them, that wants to completely dial in their health, their fitness, and most importantly, impact their family tree through their fitness, not only with their epigenetics and changing literally their biology if you haven't had kids, but if you have kids or still are going to have kids, you're setting the example. You are the leader of your house, and how you show up with your fitness, that is the foundation of your personal development. So if that's you, if you've been struggling to get lean and stay lean, and you've tried all the different things, We've got the method that works. You guys have seen it, the bulletproof shred, metabolic priming. Go DM me on Instagram and we can have a conversation and see if you're a good fit, or if you're ready just to book in for a call right away. Go click the link down below and we will get you right and get a personalized plan for you if you are a good fit. Like I said, it's not for everybody. This is for people who want to be in a community of people who want to be great and who are pushing every single day to be the best version of themselves. So if that's you, go click those links down below. If not, like I said, like, subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next video. Please comment any questions that you guys have or any other topics you want me to cover in this video. Make it happen. Out.